Well, tonight, a closer look at former New Orleans Mayor Ray Nagin's release from federal prison after serving only a little more than half of his 10-year sentence. Eyewitness investigator David Hammer has been reporting on Nagin's crimes since 2009 and got reaction to his surprise release under a controversial Trump administration plan to protect federal inmates from the coronavirus.
The Metropolitan Crime Commission helped federal prosecutors develop their corruption and bribery case against former New Orleans Mayor Ray Nagin. It led to his conviction and a 10-year prison term that started in September 2014. Now, the MCC's Rafael Goyeneche reacts to news that Nagin got out after just 5.5 years.
Is it fair? I think he probably received more consideration from the Federal Bureau of Prisons than he gave to the people of the city of New Orleans when he committed the corrupt acts that sent him to the penitentiary. So in many respects, he won the lottery.
The coronavirus lottery. Nagin is one of 1,576 inmates granted home confinement. The Federal Bureau of Prisons director said last week the prisons had the power to release nonviolent inmates at risk of coronavirus infection without having to go to court.
The department confirmed that the Bureau has discretion under the Attorney General's memoranda on March 26 and April 3rd regarding which home confinement cases are appropriate for review in order to fight the spread of the pandemic.
But was Nagin at risk of infection? He is 63 years old, but he was at a low-security facility in Texarkana that had 0 confirmed cases of COVID-19. As of yesterday, 46 prisons and 17 halfway houses nationwide had 1,376 confirmed cases and 28 inmate deaths. By moving back home to Frisco, Texas, Nagin is actually closer to a cluster of prisons reporting coronavirus cases, including Fort Worth, with 234 inmate cases and 3 deaths. Nagin's appellate attorney, Claude Kelly, called him a perfect candidate for early release. But Judge Ginger Berrigan in 2014 already reduced Nagin's sentence from the guidelines of 15 to 20 years. He paid the price, but he also won the lottery. So what do you think the ultimate balance is?
Yes, he got out early. He got lucky in all of this, but he's still a convicted felon. And, he still will be viewed historically in the city of New Orleans as an embarrassment.
While he gets to live at home with his family in Texas. David Hammer, Eyewitness News.